Shabadoo, shabadoo,
Shabada.
yabba dabba dabba doo. Let there be some Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Babadoo, kakakapoo, papadoo. The countdown clock and a school-de-doo. Shabadoo, shabadoo, shabadoo. Shabadoo. Oh, I'm in the frame.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to, after a short hiatus, Nobody Asked! Woo!
Oh.
Woo! That's my favorite show!
Oh my gosh, I missed you so much!
That show's really good! Oh my goodness, I love the topics that you cover. They're so eclectic and boring. And today we are joined by the same people we're always joined by, Maria!
Hey!
And Colin! I'm the one that's been talking. Today we will be discussing gas. Is it expensive? Yes. And then the second topic will be, is it gouging?
Curious.
I don't know.
Curious.
And also, what is the government doing about it? And also, what are oil companies doing about it? And also, Ukraine.
Also, hello, Barbie.
And
It's nice
economics.
to see you.
Hello, Barbie. And without further ado, Mom, do you want to introduce the first topic?
So,
I'm only
I would
joking. Today's episode is sponsored by the American Petroleum Institute.
Oh, no.
Hi, my name's Colin, a previous worker for the American Petroleum Institute. Much has been made recently. Just imagine that there's some typical stock music behind me when I'm doing this. Much has been made recently about the issues of using fossil fuels for various different forms of energy production as the war in Ukraine has decreased supply of Russian oil. And some idiots have said that renewable energy is not subject to things like war and various things that might change the supply because rampaging dictator decides to take various lands that clearly did not belong to him. And to that we say, if you keep saying that, I'm going to burn more fossil fuels, and I'm going to block out your sun, and then your precious solar energy won't work, okay? And then I'm going to heat up all your water so that there's no more water for your hydroelectric. And then wind, I'm going to suck it all up, okay? No more wind. No more wind except where there's no wind turbines. I'll put all the wind over there if you keep saying all these things about oil. So stop saying those things. This message was brought to you by the American Petroleum Institute.
Okay, so that was, I don't know if everybody appreciates just how good that ad was, because Colin really did used to have to run the social media for the National
American Petroleum Institute. Yep.
And they were full of shit all the time. So he had to be full of shit all the time.
Oh my God, dude. Dude. And what was crazy was, so I ran the American Petroleum Institute's Twitter and Facebook and all of that. And they are the #1 oil lobbying group. Whenever you see, on C-SPAN, that there's a congressional hearing about oil lobbying or fracking or anything, that's who's there, is the CEO of the American Petroleum Institute. And I just want you to know that everyone that works at that organization knows that global warming is real, knows that it's their fault, and feels awful about it, but they're being paid so much money to say they don't know that. And sometimes they'll even sneak in oh, we know it's real, but it's not oil. It's not. Actually, we're doing fracking now. That's really good, And they're doing everything to prevent climate change legislation. They're doing everything to, drill pipelines. They're very, very smart. They're very good at what they do, but none of them believe in their own messaging. So except for maybe the CEO. He seems like he believes what he's saying, but maybe that's why they pay him. Yes, I worked for them. That job sucked. I will be making up for it karmically for the rest of my life.
we are. Let's talk about it. So, obviously, the gas prices are hot garbage right now. They've gone up. They've almost doubled. Not quite. It's real. It's real close. It's real close to doubled since the beginning of the year. Um, I think that we all know in February that Russia decided to invade Ukraine, and as part of uh, the sanctions against Russia.
This
I
is
don't
how I'm
know.
going to signal that you're crackling too.
Oh, well, that's quite the signal. Shoot. I don't know. It's going to drive me crazy. Okay.
You're good.
So as part of the sanctions, right? So we're not importing Russian oil anymore, basically, and so it is affecting the market. And the reality is, those things take a while. Like I think we would all love to believe that America can just make up the difference all on its own, instantly, but that is just simply not the case. And even if they could, they would not, because it just creates a whole bunch of volatility in the market and in their bottom line, and they're just not willing to do it. So any changes they make are going to be well thought out, incremental, and bit by bit. So, so I just want to say that we wouldn't even be talking about this um, if not for Russia, right? We wouldn't be dealing with the question at hand, which is, are we being gouged at the pumps? And so I don't know the answer to that question. But I don't know why I started there. It was a stupid place to start. I'm a little rusty, I guess. So I think that there is this belief that potentially there is some gouging going on at the pumps. And so a bill has run through the House already and has been approved. So, oh, you're going to stop me?
Can I go briefly into why that belief exists?
Sure.
Okay, so the belief that that there is gouging going on at the pumps comes from the fact that these prices are at an incredibly high level, and that when you ask the different oil companies why that is, they say that the supply of oil has gone down because we relied so much on Russian oil to subsidize all of our gas usage. So they'll say that that is the reason that prices are so high. And I mean, if you look at it economically, it's like they're omitting elements of the overall tapestry of why prices are so high, but they're not wrong. They're not lying, which for somebody that's working for the energy industry is, I mean, basically seeing a pig fly that they're not lying. So that is true. However, it's difficult to stomach that truth when the prices of an oil barrel have not gone up by the same percentage that gas prices have gone up. And there's an idea that the price of a gas of crude oil and the price of a gallon of gas should be correlated because crude oil is what's turned into gasoline. So all of these are very logical thoughts, but the profits for these refineries have gone up substantially. These profits are judged based upon the difference between a barrel of crude oil and the sale value of a barrel of gasoline and of diesel, which are the products of a barrel of crude oil. These profits have gone up so substantially, and so people think that there is people think that the reason that these prices are going up is because they've seen an opportunity. There's a crisis for them to justify a massive price hike, and then they are using that price hike to generate record profits. And it's so difficult because they are generating record profits, and they are saying it's because of this crisis, and also they're still kind of right. So they're a little
Exactly.
kind of right, but it's hard to stomach because they're getting all this profit from it. And I just want to, I know I just said I worked for the API. Fuck them, okay? I'm never arguing for them, okay? That all of them can suck my dick. I hate all of them, and I hate everything they do. But I feel like it's the duty of my honesty or something to look at the facts and go, well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, even though it looks very bad. So that was the reason that this thought about price gouging was out there, and we can go a little bit more into why it might not be price gouging. But first, let's talk about the kind of the legislation that's pushed through.
Okay, we can talk about the legislation. So, the legislation that has made it through the House, has not made it through the Senate, is HR 7688, the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act. It's trying to address the unconscionable pricing of consumer fuel during emergencies. And so, what this is really going to do is it's going to give the president the ability um, to what's the word, to issue an energy emergency. So, if we have a hurricane and a refinery gets knocked out, he can preemptively say, this is going to be an energy emergency. I am enacting this. And so for the next 30 days, you can't price gouge. Basically, you need to be able to justify every single nickel that you are charging at the pumps. And it's more like, what did you charge for the previous 30 days? Because we don't want to see it jump up substantially from what it was the previous 30 days in the next 30 days. And so every 30 days, he can reassess that if he needs to. But that's kind of what the concept is it's giving him the power to create an energy emergency. And there will be sort of a 30-day kind of, I wouldn't know if it's a lock necessarily, but, it's highly scrutinized what is being charged at the pumps during that time period. It is going to, it will consider mitigating factors of, quantities available during that time period or an increase in demand. All of those things can come into play, but I don't like it when I can't even address it. Okay. There's definitely mitigating factors that can come into play that where you can say, look, I have to raise the price because of X, Y, or Z, but you've got to basically, you got to prove yourself all the way through, and the Federal Trade Commission is going to be in charge of monitoring all of that. And to be fair, they already do. This is just kind of another tool in their arsenal. So that's
Yep.
a talking point you're probably going to hear a lot, is that the Federal Trade Commission already is able to deal with price gouging. But this is just, during the energy emergency, this is a way for them. It's just another tool in the arsenal and another way for them to watch. And it gives them, I think, the ability to penalize them a little bit more. It also gives state attorney generals the same authority. So if you're talking about big scale stuff, then the FTC is the one that's going to be in charge. But if you're talking
Mm-hmm.
about like a local gas station is price gouging, then the state attorney general can come in and monitor that. And the FTC, needs to be made aware, they can kind of work together, but that's going to be under the state AG's control to do that.
Oh yeah, and we're not taking a stance at all on whether or not local stations are price gouging. There is certainly evidence that is happening. So it's rare, but it's on such an individual level that it's difficult to talk about in any kind of overarching sense, because we're certainly not going to talk about the Shell on East Duty Street in Pennsylvania. So
We're not going to, but the state attorney general certainly can. He can certainly go in there and say, bad boy, bad. And I don't know that
Yep.
the Federal Trade Commission could really do that. That seems like on a level that they wouldn't be able to really touch in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're also going to, be on the lookout for market manipulation. So are you artificially creating a crisis by controlling the supply and things like that? So there's a lot of different stuff, different little ways that they can do it. And there's kind of a unit that's going to be created in this bill. What's the unit called? It's got a big stupid name. Transportation Fuel Monitoring and Enforcement Unit within the Federal Trade Commission. And that unit would protect the public interest by continuously collecting data on the crude oil industry. They're looking for transparent, competitive market practices, identifying market manipulations, and they're going to facilitate the enforcement of penalties. So there will be penalties. I will say, I didn't see it really spelled out what the penalties will be. I've heard mention, that maybe double what they are now, but I read the whole bill and didn't see that in there. So
yeah,
let's see. I mean, I could go into the minutia, but it is minutia.
it is. It is minutia. And I mean, one thing that I like about the bill is that it doesn't go so far as to remove the power of the market to set a price based upon the amount of oil that is available. And that, I mean, speaking as somebody that's on the verge of an extreme socialist, this is going to sound weird for me to say, but that decision would be catastrophic in terms of the availability of gas. And number one priority right now is us preventing a situation where people realize that the supply of gas can run out. That there have been these situations where on a random day everyone there's that oil pipeline shut down for a day, and in Georgia everyone was rushing to go get gas. And you see what happens is the news that oil might go away causes chaos and confusion, and everyone
Hmm.
goes and tries to keep gas for themselves. That that kind of action on a large scale can make it so that gas runs out in certain areas at certain periods of time. And the more that happens, the more market confidence decreases, the more supply chain issues we have. It's a slope that we don't want to go down. So the absolute thing that we want to avoid is a belief that the supply of gasoline at the pump can run out in a large area and people can be stranded because there is a gap in the supply chain. And what would happen if, and this is what some of the regulators suggested, if they set a profit cap on what refineries can make in terms of their pricing for gas, is that the demand will not go down in such a way that we're able to account for the decrease in the number of barrels that are coming to America. And then we have certain stations actually drying up, which leads to that chaos and confusion, and we upset the equilibrium of the gasoline economy. That is very, very bad for market confidence. It's very, very bad for each of us wanting to be able to travel when we need to, right, by car.
Hmm.
I mean, I travel by car exactly 0 days out of the year, but in general, I mean, it's the backbone of the Midwest, of everywhere that isn't a major metropolitan area. And so it is very important that individual consumers believe that they can get gas when they want. And so that is what we're trying to avoid. And I think there is some concern that this regulation would take away the ability for the price regulators to adjust for supply. That would have been real rough. So I'm happy with the legislation, even though it
Yeah.
feels like duplicating efforts, um, even though it feels like it's maybe addressing something that is that's not really happening. Who cares? That it's not the actual actions of the legislation are not bad. And so, should I get into just briefly why it might not be price gouging?
Yes, because see that's the thing that I'm struggling with because we are watching the price per barrel did shoot up a lot. It is twice. It's not twice. It's at the beginning of the year it was about $74-ish a barrel, and now I think today was 114. So
For gasoline?
for no, that's crude. That's crude.
Okay, yeah. So the difference between a barrel of crude and a barrel of gasoline is what we're talking about, because that's where the profit comes out. So I'm about to bring up some graphs that I
Ooh,
think a lot of you guys are gonna think like that being condescending here. So please,
no,
I'm trying to start the conversation. But if a bunch of you guys already know what I'm about to show you, uh, that's great. I'm not beefing. Okay,
I'm
everything's
just
great.
saying. I don't think so. I think people want to understand, and it is confusing. It is very confusing. So
All
let's
right.
look at
So
graphs and see if we can make it make sense.
so this is a wildly oversimplified. Is it on the screen right now?
The graph is a whole bunch of graphs are on the screen.
Okay. Yes. This is the one that I'm trying to focus on. This is a wildly oversimplified. I know I'm just showing you an X right now. This is my amazing graph. Okay. Um, this is what is called completely elastic price and demand, or supply and demand curves. Okay. Uh, and what occurs with a completely elastic curve, which is incredibly rare in the actual economy, is that as the price for any commodity goes up, the demand for it will go down, right? So if you think about your desire for avocados, in reality, you might just like avocados a certain amount. So if they were 10 cents, you would get two. And if they were $1, you would get two. But there is some maximum amount where you're like, well, I mean, I'm not paying $20 for an avocado. I'm not nuts. So your demand will be taken away from the market. And so that increased price will decrease the demand. In an entirely elastic situation, for every cent or so that you decrease the price, the demand will go down in exact proportion with the amount that you decrease the price. And this is generally how supermarkets, how all different suppliers will determine the price for their goods, is when they are generally running out of the stock of their item at a rate where it's constantly in the store, but it's not spoiling. So if demand goes up, then the store has to increase the price in order to match the supply that they have. Or if the demand goes up, in order to keep the price in the same place, they must increase the supply. So this is what's called elastic supply and demand. It's actually very rare in economics, but it's a very easy way to think about how things are priced.
Okay.
Now, the famous example, like if you take any beginner econ class, the first thing that people bring up for an example of inelastic supply and demand is gasoline. And so this is why it's a great we're in a situation like we are right now, because in general, sorry, give me one sec as I bring up the inelastic supply demand curve. That we see that the X looks a little bit different
Wait, you
here.
got a whole bunch of graphs up there still.
Sorry, it's the one that's big. It's the one that I clicked on. Ah! Ah! Uh,
Uh-oh. Chaos.
okay, we're gonna make it happen. Look, the one that's occupying most of the screen, that's the one I'm talking about. Okay,
Okay.
uh, and so this is in most econ classes, this is the curve that we talk about in terms of gasoline, which is when you see the price of gasoline go up 5%, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if it was $2 per gallon, it goes up 10 cents. You go, "Gah, that sucks." But do you actually drive less?
Nope.
No. And most gasoline is consumed by truckers in large part. So there's not a decrease in the amount of cargo that needs to go around because the cost of gasoline goes up. So the actual demand is incredibly inelastic, where the pricing doesn't affect how much we buy. Now, the thing with inelastic demand is there's a proportion of inelasticity. With medicine, for example, you if you have need a life-saving procedure, you have completely inelastic demand. If they said it was $2 million or $2, you're gonna die. And so in general, you're going to pay for the procedure because your demand remains exactly the same. With gas, it is just so inelastic that you need massive fluctuations in the price to decrease the consumption by a small amount. And so that's the case that we're in right now, which is that the price of crude oil has not gone up that substantially, but it's gone up because there is uh, a decrease in supply. And what we need to control is the demand on the retail side for gasoline. And so, in order to avoid massive supply shortages, they need to increase the price dramatically to see that 7% drop in gasoline. And the thing is, I mean, if the price had gone up 50 cents, right, I wouldn't have changed any of my plans, really.
Nope.
Most people would not change any of their plans. Most people need to drive for work. Most people's driving is necessary. Their demand just doesn't change. However, when it went up $2.50, when Ellie and I needed to go down to North Carolina, suddenly gas was a much bigger consideration, and we decreased our travel plans for that reason, for the reason of the cost of gas at the time. And so this is why. Oh, I love this. One sec. This is why I this is why price needs to go up so much, is that we're avoiding the amount the problem where the demand stays up, but to decrease demand 7%, we need to increase prices 50%. Inelastic demand, this is why it might not be price gouging. And most experts that have looked at it have said that there's not significant evidence that at the price making side, of refineries, there's price gouging going on.
It's it's difficult though because I think gas is one of the things that affects the entire economy, right? It's not just gas prices going up. Gas prices end up making everything go up because of the price of goods, right?
Yep.
McDonald's doesn't locally source anything. So if I want to go to McDonald's, that sandwich is now 50 cents more. I have no idea. I've been to McDonald's in a while, but it makes everything go up because everything costs more now. And at least here in Mississippi, there's not the option of not driving a vehicle. Everything is so spread out. I don't know where the bus is. Public transportation. Yeah, it's not an option. So you need to have a car. And as high as it is right now, I don't see anybody changing their activity.
Yeah, well, and the thing about inelastic demand is that in the long term, the elasticity does occur, right? I mean, when you think about elastic, it's how quick something is able to modulate. Much of the demand for gas is supply chain. Supply chain is incredibly slow moving, as we know. When there's problems with supply chain, it takes a very long time to change how we act. McDonald's, great example, does not source anything nearby because it's not profitable to source things nearby. But there is kind of a weird silver lining here if you're, a green guy like myself, which is that the longer that these gas prices remain, the more that companies will search for cost-saving measures, and often those will have to do with sourcing things more locally. And so in the
I
long
wish.
term, the longer that prices are high, the more that demand will decrease and actually things will even out, which is one of the reasons that this massive hike in gas prices happened before the supply dropped out as we had expected, right? Right now, what we have priced in is a long-term future of the supply of oil. We believe that a year from now, our access to oil is going to be worse than it is right now. But we've priced it in now in order to allow for the different funnels of the economy to start searching for alternate methods of
Huh.
avoiding consumption of gas. So in the long term, the hope is that the economy will, that the economy wins again or whatever. I sound like a capitalist shill right now? Just a little bit. But
It's where we live.
this is one of the weird places where it's like, okay, the incentive system is set up well. It's set up in a certain way. It's just that things take a second, especially large scale things, which are the things that sway demand. So right now, the retail customer can affect their own lives the most, right? We can see gas prices and change our plans the most quickly because we all work at an individual level. A massive billion-dollar company cannot do that. I mean, it can't. It only in very specific circumstances can a massive company pivot in that sort of a way. So right now, all of the expense is on retail consumers, but it's going to shift to large multinational companies as they attempt to find profits where they can. That's a very optimistic view of what's going on. It depends on us being able to predict where oil futures will be. We're actually usually pretty good at that. Oil and energy are like some of the most important things ever. So we're very interested in predicting them well. But it takes a hot second for the economy to adjust and for the large corporations to adjust.
It does take a hot second, and it's the same thing. It's a little bit disingenuous sometimes when Biden's like, "Hey, we have these 7,000 oil leases available. Why is nobody drilling on it?" That feels complicated and being oversimplified and saying it's not me. I mean, it isn't Biden. He doesn't control the oil companies. He just doesn't. But it's very difficult to get a rig running and producing oil. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes years really, or at least 18 months at a minimum, I would think, to get one of those running. And then the refineries are largely operating at capacity. So I would imagine it would take even longer to get an oil refinery up. I will say we have been steadily producing more oil. It is happening. It's just not happening at the level we consume at. and asking Americans to consume less, that feels un-American, doesn't it?
Yep. Well, and importantly, and this is getting to what Ashley is talking about right here, is the actual supply of crude oil has not lagged. It has taken longer to drop than we had expected. So this is why the price of an individual barrel of crude oil has not gone up as much as the price for a barrel of refined gasoline. Refined gasoline is based upon predictions of oil futures. Crude oil is a current metric of buying. So it is actually pretty easy for refineries to buy this this crude oil. It's difficult for them to buy some of the resources that are needed for refining them. Some of those come from Russia, and so the price of a barrel of crude oil is not the only thing that is needed to supply gasoline. That's one of the reasons that there's that massive gap. This is just, there's a lot of elements to this, but the main thing is that profit is based upon the difference between crude oil and gasoline, which is there. It's like 4 times the normal profit for a company at this level. So I'm not talking trash here. I mean, they are definitely making profits here. The issue is the scalability of our refining, the different tools that we need to refine gasoline, and the fact that we've priced in the future of decreasing crude oil, but that drop hasn't completely been felt yet.
Right.
The combination of all those things are largely what is leading to this. Are there other things? Could be, but this is, if you look at it purely economically, it is realistic that this would occur, and maybe even predictable. What you're telling me is you need to stop. So, dude, I wouldn't worry too much about hurting oil companies' feelings.
Yep. Go for it.
And honestly, they react to social pressure a lot. I mean, a lot of what our job at API was feeling what the social pressure was. There's this line, which is interesting. So when you're a social media manager, you are paid to read the angry tweets and to get a temperature of the dissidents. But there's this line, right? It's like if there's the spectrum of oh boy, I love oil. Oil's my best friend. To like, BP, they should all die, right? Here's the spectrum. I mean, we are paid to look at that end that all hates oil, but there's this line which I call the crazy line, where we stop paying attention to what these people are saying because they're untethered to reality. What this sect is saying about their problem with crude oil, it does get listened to by oil companies. Now, I'm not saying that they don't take it in and then actively manipulate you with the information that you provide to them. Of course they do, right? And there was some poor social media manager that worked for one of the plastics companies, and when that picture of the turtle with the straw in his nose came out, that social media manager went, "Oh my God, I'm getting a raise," and said, "Let's blame all this shit on straws. Everyone's mad at straws right now. Straws are like, what, 1% of our portfolio? Dude, let's go pay for this plastics nonprofit. They're gonna say that they're gonna clean up straws. Let's create a biodegradable straw. Let's invest in fucking bamboo straws. Let's do anything but solve the actual problem because we've been handed this gift by Twitter." So that'll happen.
Yeah. No, I think that's kind of hilarious. It is important to notice when you're being distracted. Let's see. Let me fix my sound. Yeah, it's important to notice when you're being distracted, when they're trying to give you something to rage against that is not as consequential, so that you don't see what the other hand is doing. You got to recognize it. You got to say, man, is this as big of a deal as I'm making it? Are there bigger, huger things in the world that I need to be paying attention to? It's really hard because, caring for your planet's important. So this is where we live, but
guys,
let's see. I hate to be.
I agree with Ashley wholeheartedly. Okay, that I am done with these bitch ass straws that these multinational union busting companies are giving me telling me that I need to enjoy my beverage less because they keep polluting everything. Give me a break. Dude, straws suck so much. Just get better at disposing of them. I mean, for the love of God.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, plastic straws for life. And the thing is that there are good biodegradable plastic straws, right?
there are.
But these paper straws that the second that you put them into the plastic lid of the cup, and they just scrape down the whole thing, and suddenly you've got square straw McGee in that thing because the little triangles are pressing from each corner of the paper straw. And then the second that liquid goes up there, I mean, I don't know if you've been a human before, but have you ever put liquid on paper? It loses its structure a little bit. Why are they making me drink like this? And don't get me started on these bullshit Starbucks oval lids, okay? Fuck those lids, okay? Those like cold cup lids where they're like, hey, let's make this lid about exactly as big as an ice cube is so that you can never drink your beautiful cold beverage without getting a fat solid chunk of ice in your mouth. Dude, what? Fuck that turtle, okay?
I gotta write down this minute mark because this feels like a great short. Thank you, Colin. Ah, I do enjoy your rants. I do. I mean, sometimes I just go no straw, just no straw, because I don't want a paper straw either. Just I'd rather have none than a paper one.
Oh, so it's just that you get the paper straw, and there's so many different ones, and there's something innate to the human where you just want to believe that someone has your best interests at heart, and you go, maybe this paper straw, maybe this one is the one, and it never is.
Nope.
Fuck
Nope.
that turtle.
Never is. It never is. So how mad should we be about? I guess. Do you feel like fuck that turtle? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me put that on the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready to buy my tombstone. Okay. Hopefully, I don't need to use it in a while, but I know what I want written on it. Fuck that turtle. Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess I should try to get back on topic. I don't really want to. I hate this topic. Why did I pick it? I'll tell you why I picked it. Because I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's very complicated to me. The price of crude, what I should be mad at, what I shouldn't be mad at. Why have the gas prices sort of steadily stayed high, and you're not seeing the same market fluctuation that you're seeing with crude? It's all very frustrating. And what's the magical price that'll get people to just rebel and not drive their car anymore?
I mean, the thing is that you do see there's more discussion online that is anti-car. There is like these things do contribute to an overall sense of, well, maybe that was a bad move. I mean, all those people that are just like F-150 only have got to be feeling it right now. I mean, it feels like all those F-150 only people are driving like 100,000 miles a year. That is so much money right now. It's like $50,000 a year. I mean, that I bet.
But who can afford? Who can afford to get out of their F-150 though? You know what I mean? It's like this is what you're stuck with now. Who can afford to buy a car? Who can afford to do anything with the prices of everything going up? It's really difficult. Ashley's husband just bought an Escalade. Please don't tell me that it's like pearly white. Yep, I have great.
Oh my God.
Pearl white is my least favorite color. I told him that was the dumbest shit to do. See, Ashley, she's a girl after my heart. Just please tell me it was black and not pearl white because it's just not okay.
Yep. No, my mom is fully convinced that she can predict the exact size of anyone's penis that drives a pearl white Escalade.
Well, it's usually women driving the pearl white ones, not exclusively, but and they usually have hair extensions and really long fingernails.
You remember when Uncle Bill got that
spray
pearl white
tans? Yep. Look at Ashley driving her tiny Nissan. I gave him a lot of grief about his pearl white Buick. It's dark blue. See, it's at least a respectable color. He's not trying to be too flashy.
And I bet that gets you a couple miles per gallon.
The color gets you just a little bit extra gas mileage.
Yep.
Makes
We were
sense.
talking about this. The one of my friends is fully convinced that getting a purple car makes it slightly faster. Oh, my dog really wants to go outside. He's whining.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see if. Oh, okay. Ellie's almost home. Great. Magnifique.
Okay, it's a Magnifico.
So.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Do we want to beat this topic up any further? Life's hard. There's still a war going on in Ukraine. It's still going on.
It's still happening, yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, that war's pretty whack. You see
it's
that
still
Ben
happening.
Over there?
I did not. The idea that we have sort of just pretended it's not bothering us anymore. It's summertime. Who wants to think about the fact that there's a war still going on in Ukraine? TikTok seems to have funneled all of that stuff to the bottom of the pile, so it's not constantly in your face. So we can all pretend it's not happening, but it's still happening.
Yeah, man.
It's still happening.
We kind of need an American TikTok, but Instagram Reels is so ass. I mean, it gets every trend like 2 years after TikTok had it. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's not. This was predictable, right? As soon as we realized this war was not going to be 2 weeks long, it's like that. This is how the nation's attention works. I mean, what new news is there? Most of the new news is like, we've been lied to about some of the shit with Ukraine, right? Like that we had been getting disinformation from Ukraine on this, which I think that we all knew, but we're pro Ukraine, so we go, that goes to Kiev. He's real. So.
Well, yeah, Ghost of Kiev is clearly propaganda, right? But I like it. It's great imagery.
It's great, yeah, and we're
something to rally around.
Who cares about truth when it fits my narrative? Nobody asked.
Yes, we do have. We had the great 6-week distraction of Johnny Depp, and now we have the January 6th hearings going on, which I wish I was paying more attention to. Is it boring?
Oh,
I just get sound bites. I get sound bites that are pretty good.
I don't know. It is one of those things that just feels like nothing's ever going to actually happen, and it's just gonna evaporate. I mean,
Agreed.
Think of all of the various crimes that Donald Trump has committed that have just like you get the New York Times notification like, oh, he's being subpoenaed for his fucking new evidence says that Donald Trump took 20 monkeys and drowned them with his bare hands. And it's like, I know nothing will ever happen. So
that's an impressive grip if he can do 20 monkeys with his bare hands.
I'm sure they were sedated. It's like that. I mean, that's what the New York Post says. But so boring. So boring. I just don't care anymore.
To me, it's like, what's the end game with that trial? It's like, what are we going to, at the very end, what's going to happen? Nothing's going to happen. It's good to get that information out there from the right people, right? Because Nancy Pelosi shouting stuff is a waste of time, right? You need Republicans saying the same thing for it to even have the slightest impact. And they're saying the right things, but it won't result in anything. Nothing's going to happen. It won't.
I have a couple of ideas. Well, one, I think that the original hearings, like trying the people that actually broke into Congress, that was about showing that you can't just do that, right? You need to make an example of those people. Honestly, I think that there's a fair number of people that were disappointed more weren't shot, because I think some of us are like, an attempted coup is a good reason to kill people. And so the fact that they just left.
It's a hard line. It's a hard line to walk.
It's a coup, dude. Dude, fuck them. If you violently break into a government building to interrupt an official proceeding, that's a coup. Kill them. I don't care.
I mean, I understand your logic, but again, the propaganda that they're being fed is that it was a peaceful riot and the police let them in.
A peaceful riot?
Yep. And the police let them in. And then there's the old whataboutism with regard to other riots that were violent, and you aren't seeing them being, tried for sedition and whatever else. So,
I mean, a policeman died, so I'm kind of like, I mean, clearly weren't
yeah.
letting him in, or at least they didn't tell that guy. Uh, you know, uh,
Yeah.
I think that was the original point. But then the point needs to continue to be, I mean, if you're going to start trying politicians, like, you better make an example. It's like when you're a mother and you're like, if you do that, I'm going to do this thing, and then they do it. It's like, well, now if you don't do it, you look weak, and the cat's out of the bag, right? That Republican politicians can escort people that they're trying to get to do a coup around Congress. So if you start this trial, you better end it. And here's the thing, you're not going to. So
Oh man, you know what? If Marjorie Taylor Greene if they just decided she was the scapegoat for everything and said, we'll just make an example of her so that the rest of us don't have to have an example made of us, I'd be fine with that. Just let her have her bear everybody's burden. I'm fine with it. At least something will have happened. But I feel like everybody's made of Teflon,
is that the
and it
Colorado
drives me
one? Or is
crazy.
that's Lauren
Oh, I can't remember her name.
Boebert or something?
No, it's not the Colorado one.
Lauren Boebert. Yeah. That's Ellie's grandparents' representative. um,
Yeah,
my congressman's great, but
I just don't see anything happening to Trump. I don't see. Some people were just giving lip service, right? But she was kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I feel differently about her, and because she continues to spout absolute dangerous nonsense. So that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would love for Clarence Thomas's wife to be a meaningful part of the conversation, and not just a let's not talk about her kind of thing. I'm like, let it be a reason to impeach Clarence Thomas. But that won't happen. It won't happen. But I would love for it to happen. We're seeing an interesting thing happen right now because this trial is being put on by the House of Representatives, right? And then the Senate then has to vote on it, whatever that looks like, right? They're going to make their ruling on it. We know what that's going to look like. It's going to look like nothing because we have a 50-50 Senate, and such is the nature of things. It's going to look like nothing. But it is an interesting piece of, our Constitution and how our government works playing out before our eyes. So in that way, it's interesting. So if I could watch the impeachment of a Supreme Court justice, man, I would love that too. Bring me everything. Give me all of our tools for, what is it called? Checks and balances. Chuck them all in there. Let's watch it all play out. Let's see if our system can stand the test. Are we doing it right? I'd love it.
I'd love it. I've been thinking about if Joe Biden tries to run again, can we get enough like leftists and liberals to put a message out there, which is basically, hey, Republicans, if you choose like a reasonable presidential candidate, like just someone that's like a person,
Sure.
like a real person, that would, if you choose that, even though we ideologically don't agree with them, we will vote for them.
Yeah.
Because I would rather have Mitt Romney in the White House for all of the things I don't like about Mitt Romney than Joe Biden. And I would love for just a nice little showing of unity where it's like, hey, all these Democrats, I mean, it just needs to be like 5% of them, are just like, we're not voting for Biden again, okay? Because we, unlike you guys, are willing to admit when our candidates suck, and ours does. Can you just put a candidate that's a person out there, okay?
Yes.
No Ted Cruz's, no
Ted Cruz's,
no Donald Trump's, no Lauren Boebert's, no fucking DeSantis's. I can't believe that people are talking about DeSantis. I can't believe that Republicans had a run of John McCain and Mitt Romney, and then went Trump, and it's like now I feel like there's no way we're going to get a reasonable candidate out of them like those two. And I don't like either of their policies, but I just believe they're people. you know,
Yeah.
to just put a human, and I don't know who it is, right? That I think is I mean, I think it's probably Mitt Romney, but I just think that somewhere out there is just a normal Republican. Maybe, I mean, the Republicans would never go for this, but
Normal
there's that
Republicans are
guy
Democrats.
that that what?
I said normal Republicans are Democrats. That's what they are. Because I'm just saying we are so polarized that if you are not like leaning all the way hard to the right, then you're a Democrat to them. You know what I
To
mean?
them. Okay,
So
okay. I thought you were saying something that you believed, and I was like, are you crazy?
no, I
Okay.
mean no, no.
Um,
Well, I mean I do believe. We need to get all these boomers out too. Get them out. They're
oh
taking up
yes,
space.
that would be great. I mean, you don't want it to come out as demands, but just say
I
like,
demand
hey,
it.
do you want to absolutely guarantee a Republican president? Okay, put these things out there. We would like someone between the ages of 40 and 60. We would like somebody that just like is willing to commit to a long-term peaceful transfer of power. We would like somebody that recognizes that the election results of the last election were correct, even if they were for a guy that basically is at late stage dementia. And for somebody that just is not invested in stalling all movement of the government or
Yes.
capitalizing on nationalist and xenophobic bent to the far ends of the right. Just somebody that's just a good old boy, dude. I don't like or girl, dude. I just feel like there's a mayor in Arkansas or something that she's just got love in her heart and she's a Republican, but she's like she just doesn't respect Donald Trump's like his attitude, right? And but she believes in the country and she believes in freedom. And it's just like, just put them in front of me and I will vote Republican for the one time the rest of my life. Okay? Also, if they could just admit that climate change is real, that would be great. But maybe I'm asking too much.
Ashley's not here for that. I will say this is the reason why I would be down for a Republican who is not a piece of shit. Is that it would get momentum going, right? When you have a Republican president, it hopefully will align the Republicans in Congress to do something instead of stop continuously blocking legislation. And if it
Yeah.
is a Republican who is a good guy, right, who cares about people, because that's the one that I care about. Do you care about people or not? Do you care about money more than people? I don't want you in that. I don't want you running the show. If you care about American individual human beings, then I'm good with you. We can figure it out. You can be worked with.
Yep.
But if you just have if you love your gun more than you love children, bye. Goodbye.
Dude, put Ashley is down for Romney, bro. Okay? This dude's a fucking Mormon. I mean, put Romney in front of us. I can't believe that this is where the bar is, but
Yeah.
I will vote. Listen to me. I will vote for Romney over Biden last election. Okay,
Yep.
one, we definitely need an age limit for presidents. I mean, it ageist. So is an age floor. So shut the fuck up. We need an age limit. And
Yes.
oh my God, Joe Biden
We
cannot
do.
run again. And Kamala Harris is just she's
She's not
female Joe
great.
Biden. She's not going to do shit. She's
She's not
please don't
it.
give me Kamala Harris. Ugh, she's not it. So yeah.
What if we got like a toaster, like an old school like 1950s style toaster, and then we just put like a Biden sticker on it? Do you know what I'm saying? Just like a vote for Biden sticker on the toaster, and then people could just vote for that toaster. I'm just
I
saying,
mean, I think that would be the downfall of America, but
if the toaster was our figurehead for our country, and we just let Congress make all the decisions, and it was just a toaster, no, all right, you don't want a toaster.
You know, yeah, I'm
Who
not.
would the vice president be?
Feels like a kettle, but I don't know. Maybe
A
invigorate
black one.
anti-English.
A black kettle.
Boo.
No,
That's
I'm
funny.
just saying. It's terrible. I don't know. Thank you for getting sidetracked with me. Thank you for doing this with me on this topic that isn't exactly riveting.
Nope.
I desperately needed to go live and talk about something other than, what's going on in the John Yates community. I know I just brought it up, but that's the extent of me bringing it up. I needed to talk about something else. And so thank you for doing it with me. I know we normally do it on Wednesday, but he's got some meetings tomorrow. He's going to be somewhere else. So
I'm a big businessman. It's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go meet with the future president of the United States, the mayor of Fishers, Indiana, Scott Fadness. Okay, this is me coming out as pro Fadness. I don't even know what his policies are, but I'm meeting him Thursday, and me and that guy, we're working on his presidential run. I do have a a revision to a previous podcast. If
oh
you would be interested.
oh a
All right.
revision.
This is the eating crow part of the podcast. Uh,
Ooh, new segment,
I
eating crow.
and that let it be said that my journalistic integrity is intact. Okay, when I get it wrong, based on facts that had not come out yet, by the way,
Sure.
just for the record, I will say it. And that will also be true when I am president of the United States. Although at that point, the world's it's over. So, yang gang. I was talking about Tesla autopilot and getting very angry. I also said Johnny Depp wouldn't win. I can't believe he won, but he
I
did.
can't either.
Shout out Depp, bro. So that was not even the revision. That was a prediction. I feel like that's not journalistic integrity. I talked about autopilot in Tesla, and I quoted some statistics, which were, to the best of my knowledge, correct. And if they were correct, I would have maintained my stance. However, there is an accusation that has come out in a number of different cases of fatal crashes involving autopilot. And this accusation is that the vehicles will detect when a crash is imminent and then turn off autopilot in the moments before the crash and then
Oh.
claim that the crash did not occur while autopilot was on and then not include it in the statistics.
Oh no.
So that definite one, that sounds like they knew of a problem and they found a way to fudge the statistics and they tricked me. They got me. I can't believe I argued for them fucking bullshit. It
What
sounds
a
like they did program it
rapscallion.
in. Yeah, nope, not happy about it. Not happy about it. But if this is true, sounds like it's true, and it changes the statistics significantly, I think that I will retract my statement for sure. Now, there's no question that long term computer vision will get to a place where it will be better in terms of reaction time and decision making than a human brain. That will happen, and the point at which that happens is a point at which it is a moral necessity that we use it in as many circumstances as we can, and especially we try and create a grid of all machine vision driven cars. But I thought we were already at that point. It seems like I might have been wrong. My bad.
Yeah. We might have been too nice to Elon Musk all the way around on that particular episode. He seems to be getting into a lot of nonsense, even more than he was that particular week. Oh
Yep.
well. He's
Oh
not a
well.
good guy. We don't say he's a good guy, just that, he uses his power and money for interesting things.
For interesting things. And he seems like he's a bad dad. He seems like he's definitely a narcissist.
Sure.
Look, man, he's just an
Narcissists run the
interesting
world.
billionaire. Yeah, they do. They really, really do. Just briefly, Ellie wants us to talk about her comment. This is not my girlfriend, Ellie. I know that because of this comment, which says that that she was a Trump supporter. Ellie was not. Ellie, my girlfriend. So, hello,
Oh,
Ellie. You have the same name as my girlfriend. Um, yeah, want someone with fresh ideas. All the politicians are crap. I'll agree that most of the politicians are crap, and
there's
I
a
will
lot of
also
crap.
agree that both parties are corrupt. Uh,
True.
I would I would say that almost all politicians are crap. Both parties definitely corrupt. Um, the status quo is not great, but there is worse than the status quo. There's also better, but there is worse than the status quo. And fascism and oligarchs are real, and they happen
Yep.
to
Yep.
real societies. They happen in free elections. They appeals to racism and anti-Semitism and xenophobia do occur. Appeals to nationalism are a cousin of those, and fascism is often marked by appealing to your mass by shitting on the media and on free media and attempting to regulate the free media. And while I am all about a fresh face, Andrew Yang, I'm sorry, I just had a cough. Um, while I'm all about a fresh face, I would caution that when you are looking for your fresh face, you try not to elect a sociopath,
That's
millionaire
hard.
who has fascist tendencies and a fetish for porn stars. If it's just the fetish for porn stars, I can vote for them. Okay? My bar is on the ground, but it's not 6 feet deep. Okay? I
I mean,
still
I'm
believe in
fine with the porn
America.
stars.
Yeah, honestly, it was mostly a joke that I brought that up. The porn star
Oh,
thing
okay.
basically does not bug me.
Yep.
Uh,
That's
the
between him and his wife.
hypocrisy, just a little bit more, and the fascism and the attempting to undermine a free and fair election, and the not dedicating to a peaceful transfer of power, and all of the various different forms of abuses, all of the impeachable offenses, all of those not great. I'm not saying they were all predictable. I mean, the not dedicating to the a peaceful transfer of power, he did say before his first election, and that should have been disqualifying right then. But I understand the desire for a fresh face, Kaf Kaf Yang Gang. But
Listen,
the
he
next
always tells
one
us
is
what he's
the
going to
better one.
do. He always tells us. He tells us what he's doing. And then plenty of people say, oh, that rapscallion, he's just saying it like it is. He doesn't really mean that. He really does mean it. He meant everything he said. And we need to take people seriously when they say crazy things. That's the way I feel
Yeah,
about it.
and and again, I mean, like I believe in America. I believe in democracy. I believe in a lot of the morals that we espouse. I love that I live in a city and a country that has as many different cultures melding together. I love how the melding of these different cultures has expanded out into the other world. Dude, I mean, this country is sick. And it's rare to hear a leftist as
Sick.
far left as I am say that, but I do believe in the country. And whenever I hear a bullshit European talking shit about America, I go, I lived in your shitty ass continent and go fuck yourself, okay? All of you look identical and you're all so mad and so rude and you're all like, you stupid American, you never leave the country. Do you leave Europe, you fucking moron? Dude, what Europe in terms of land mass is half the area, the EU is half the area of the United States. Okay? We are a continent. When we go to California, it's like you going to Spain from your bullshit fucking Poland. Fuck Poland, okay? This is the ground of my foreign
I like
policy.
Poland.
Poland sucks, okay? They were bullies at my elementary school. I've gotten on a tangent. Anyway, fuck Europeans. They all suck.
He did not enjoy the Polish children. They were rather aggressive.
They were bullies. They were bullies. I mean, it was because of, all the stuff they had next door, but they were bullies. Uh, I've gotten on a tangent. I believe in the American experiment, but all what's it called?
Europe is
All
tiny.
governments can fall. Sorry, no, I was getting back to that
Oh,
original line.
oh,
All governments can fall. You
absolutely.
can make mistakes even with the strength of the Constitution and the strength of our systems. It can break. And if you look at history and you go, how did those idiots justify X? You need to realize that our country is full of people with the same DNA. Okay? Our brains are not substantially different than they were 100 years ago. Evolution moves way slower than that. So you need to be aware of the risks. The stakes are high when you are
The
electing
stakes are
a
high.
president. Okay? And I'm talking like very out there high. Even just, if you don't think that we're going to descend into a fascist oligarchy, which, by the way, we're set on the course for, even if you don't think that, when you elect Trump, think about all of the military families that are around the country that now have to know that the life of their relative who is in the military is decided by a commander in chief who is a fucking moron, okay? Who suggested that we nuke a hurricane, okay? That person can't have the codes and he can't have the power to deploy troops. So just when you elect people, I understand that we elected somebody with a serious mental illness, and it's telling that I thought that was a better option. Uh,
I also want to say vote in the primaries. I want to say go ahead and say that you're a Republican so that you're able to vote in Republican primaries because those are
totally,
closed. Uh,
totally.
and because we should all get a voice in that, regardless of whether we're a Republican or not. We should get a voice in which Republican candidate bubbles to the top. I
Yep.
mean, there was 7 other choices before outside of Trump, and yet somehow he bubbled to the top. So let's all have a voice in that. And it's the same thing with the Democrats. Vote in both primaries because realistically, Biden did not bubble to the top. That was some shenanigans.
No, that was some bullshit, dude. No, that was some nonsense. Uh, he, yeah, vote in your primaries, everything. Oh, I just have, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening right now.
What do you mean?
Uh, uh, my screen, it's sharing itself. Oh my gosh, what's happening here? Oh, this is so embarrassing. Oh, that's for later tonight. My bad. I didn't mean to share that screen.
Do you think? Actually, I'd like to know if we think that Bernie will give it another go because he's pretty old.
Uh,
I don't think so.
I don't think he will give it another go. If he does, I love Bernie. I will not vote for him because I need to stand by my own convictions here. And I believe that we need a ceiling. I also believe there must be another Bernie that's 50, right?
Yes, there has to be.
Where are they? You know?
Yeah.
It
Where are
just
they?
can't be my only
Where are the
option.
other Bernies? Where are the other Bernies?
But you know who's younger than Bernie?
Is it Andrew Yang?
Andrew Yang. I don't listen. I don't even agree with all of Andrew Yang's policies. Right? I don't believe his like core belief in capitalism. I do not believe in it to the extent that he does. However, he's the only person that is future thinking to the extent that is necessary for how rapidly things are changing. Um, he could certainly use
Yes.
some help on foreign policy. I think foreign policy is a big thing. But here's what I do trust is that Andrew Yang will look at problems scientifically and entrust the decision making to people that are truly experts and not people that are willing to suck his dick. And that is a
Great.
great qualification.
It's a great qualification. Yes. Having yes men and sycophants telling you what you want to hear is not the way to run the government. You need people that know what's going on, that are experts in what they do. Listen
Yep.
to your generals. Listen to your scientists. Listen to all of your economists. Listen to the people that make sense because nobody expects the president to know everything. But we do expect him to surround himself with people that can fill in the blanks for him. Terrible.
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 Well, that should conclude our podcast today. Ellie and I are going to go celebrate, not Trump voter Ellie, Ellie, my girlfriend, and I are going
I love Trump
to.
voter Ellie in real life. I just want you to know she is a very fun person. I like her. I chat with her all
Hey,
the time.
yeah, I mean, I fully believe that. No hate, no hate. I mean,
No hate. No
I
hate.
do hate Trump. I do hate Trump, but I've come around on why people found him enchanting.
Exactly.
It took one thing. It took one thing for me to go, okay. I mean, I still wouldn't have voted for him, but I get it. Uh, which is, if you ever watch YouTube Donald Trump highlights, they're the funniest thing ever. And you can just get into a mood, and you're like, these are pretty funny. He's a pretty funny president. Do I like him? Not at all, but he's funny. Um, so, so Ellie, my Ellie, and I are going to go celebrate a little something. Ellie, can I say anything about it?
What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Okay, vague. It's possible that she schminilated me. So she might have.
She might have schmut. What did she schmite have?
Look, insert a bunch of scientific words that no one on here would care at all about.
Okay.
And she did it. Yeah.
Ooh. She split an atom. She discovered the cure for something cool. She invented a cool gadget.
Here's why I stopped being into science at MIT. You've got to roll back how quickly you think science moves forward by about 80 orders of magnitude. Okay? The entire life's work of some of the greatest scientists to ever live is contained in a sentence in a textbook that is like sopping up old orange juice in the backpack of a 7th grader. Okay? That's the life's work of the best scientists. So
yes.
science
Okay.
moves
So
slow.
She proved that a little finger on a little dendrite, in fact, does wave hello. I don't know.
You're on the order of magnitude now, though.
Okay.
Now, instead of a finger, think of a molecule, and then think of it doing something to another molecule, and we weren't sure that it could, and now we know that it can.
It can wave hello. It can give it a hug. It can impregnate it. I don't know.
A hug, right, Alex? It's kind of giving it a hug, in a way. It's more like a high five.
Okay. She discovered that that a molecule can high five another molecule. Woo!
Hell yeah, bro. Yeah!
Very excited. Let's celebrate. That's what you're about to do.
So we're going to go celebrate.
All right. Well, congratulations. High five. High five.
All right. Want to play us out, Ma?
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Also, thank you guys for keeping us company.
Thank you.
As we talk about nonsense.
We love our viewers.
High five the molecules. It's so fun. We love all of them, even if they're not live, but live is fun.
Even when they call me condescending and it hurts my feelings.
Even though you were the one that said that, they were just giving you a little hard time saying, you condescending. It was hilarious.
It hurts my feelings.